Think about it. When we converse, when we hypothesize of what's beyond our observable reality, the conversation pivots into outer space. You'd never for a second consider there's more to the world beneath your feet.
We are surrounded by a vortex, a sphere of energy. That's true. A globe of energy. That's true. So you can look at it like this, but we inside of that. So you got to be asking yourself, how does your planet look? How does the plane look? You're inside of the plane. So the actual plane is like a pancake. It's forever. We sit inside one little circle of the plane. All right. And this is where your little 7 continents is located, inside this little circle. We are literally surrounded by a wall of ice. Right? This is the great ice wall of Antarctica that everybody talks about.
Let's just start with that. I'm not going to go to the rest.
All right. Even the military did a fake staged operation trying to act like they don't know what's going on, called Operation High Jump. Because see, that's what the government do. Like, the government work for the elite. So they can't make, the government is owned and ran by the elites. Remember, America and the government over here in our country, in America, it's a corporation. Every government in every country is a corporation. And they all check in with the global elite. All right. So they had to stage it and make it seem like they didn't know what the fuck was going on. And they called it Operation High Jump, and they called themselves going to Antarctica. The military did it, acting like they was trying to get over the ice wall. Like, they know what the hell is going on. They know why it's an ice wall. They put the motherfucking ice wall there. The whole ice wall is nothing but the dead bodies of our ancestors.
No ice around any of these areas, okay? There's North America, South America, Africa, India, Russia, China. Okay, so very similar to this map. North America, South America, Africa, India, China, Russia, okay? Only thing different, Australia. There is no Australia here because it hasn't been discovered yet. This is 1587. Australia wasn't discovered until 1606. So that's why that's not there. But my main question is, if this is a globe flattened out and this is on the bottom, right? What the fuck is this? There's no ice on it. And guess what? Antarctica hadn't been discovered yet. Antarctica was discovered in 1820. If you look, oh look, there's an alligator, there's a camel, warm weather animals. So, you want to explain to me, first thing, what the hell is this, all this land? And second thing, what froze? What happened between 1587 and 1892 where those areas got frozen?
Every culture, every civilization describes these impediments as if they were part of a master plan. A design by higher forces that did not want humans to discover what lies beyond. These descriptions disturbingly align with later accounts of explorers who reached Antarctica and encountered inexplicably perfect walls of ice, too symmetrical to be natural. Could this cold be a controlled projection, designed by the custodians to keep humanity within the boundaries of the first dome? Nos confunden. The Greeks, in their mythology, spoke of the Pillars of Hercules, beyond which no mortal should venture. Navigators who challenged these waters were met with relentless winds that tore their ships apart and waves that resembled moving monsters. Herodotus, in his writings, described how the seas beyond the Mediterranean were impenetrable due to perpetual storms. These accounts are echoed in Polynesian traditions, which narrate that Hawaii, the ancestral land, could only be reached if navigators managed to evade mysterious hurricanes that seemed to manifest whenever someone attempted to cross the forbidden limits. This narrative clearly reflects a story of control, where superior forces, the custodians or the Anunnaki, set impenetrable limits to protect the secrets of the lands beyond. Nos confunden. In ancient maps, such as those of Piri Reis, a world larger than what we currently know is depicted, with continents and coasts unknown beyond the explored limits. Over the centuries, however, we were told that these lands were cartographic errors. Stories of sailors who spotted islands or lands that should not exist were dismissed as fantasies or delusions. What better way to hide lands beyond than to convince everyone they simply do not exist? The custodians and the Anunnaki used their advanced technology to create an environment where humans would never question the boundaries of their world. The invisible dome projector not only conceals what lies beyond, but also projects an illusory firmament to reinforce the belief that there is nothing more. Nothing more. Nothing more.
Saying the world's bigger than we know, that they changed how we think. Richard Constantine.
He knew that with this model, reinforced by working geometrical logic, he could deceive the minds of millions into believing that this small section of the world was the entirety of a world in and of itself.
Even if that were true, how the hell would they be able to sell such a lie?
Thought you'd never ask. See, Richard was maniacal. His family loved his idea of entrapping the soon-to-be population, but they too asked him the obvious question, how can we be sure they'll obey? At which point, with an emotionless expression, Richard said to them, give me absolute control over what's taught to the minds within these walls, and they will look to the heavens before they consider what's behind the ice.
Good God.
See, Richard was the godfather of psychological manipulation. Spent the following years creating the blueprint for a new reality, our reality, the great curriculum of confinement, or what we know as geography, Newton's laws of physics, etc., a structured narrative of logical principles that would be taught to every generation within the wall. But he knew that wasn't enough. He knew how the subconscious mind worked as well, so he created sigils of circularity, symbols of a sphere, globes, circular maps, even our circular language of time itself, were embedded in every cultural artifact. He knew not all humans were brainiacs. Some were more spiritual, mythically intuitive. So he created, naturally, deterring layers of awareness through monstrous mythological beasts that scoured the oceanic abyss, instilling innate fear into the naive early generations.
Oh, come on. I mean, we don't believe that type of stuff.
Your ancestors sure did. And I don't know about you, but I'm not taking a boat into the middle of the Pacific anytime soon.
Fair enough.
But Richard's greatest deception, the cosmic paradox. He introduced the concept of an endless void, a vacuum of dark space beyond this globe. You see, when he told his family he'd have us looking to the heavens instead of beyond the ice wall, he was being literal. Think about it. When we converse, when we hypothesize of what's beyond our observable reality, the conversation pivots into outer space. You'd never for a second consider there's more to the world beneath your feet.
What are you getting at?
Richard was a genius. His theories worked. He created geometrically accurate models of a hypothetical universe. It's just not ours.
Now, why is an iceberg important? When you were in your 33rd dimension, what they did was but when they attacked those giants, a lot of those giant beings went into exile and they hunt them to death. They start freezing them out and they buried them in ice. Pay attention. This is why when she gets mad, this iceberg is cracking. She's attacked. She's actually responded with nature. And watch when the iceberg cracks open, you will notice a powerful being coming out of the iceberg. Like I'm telling you, that's what they did to us. A lot of them icebergs that you see, you have beings trapped into it. Those ice walls that surround our planet, we have beings trapped into it. So the humans are very worried about what happens when global warming heats up the planet. What happens to those ice as they melt? These carbonated beings are going to be released. Pay attention. Pay attention.
So what we believe is that Earth is actually an ice wall, one of 3 ice walls.
Now, this entire story comes from written accounts that have been hidden for hundreds of years up until recently, when the author Nos Confunden wrote about his story after coming across these documents that basically just told what he had found beyond the ice wall and what he had to go through to come back and tell this story to the whole world without triggering another great reset. Now, this story begins when William Morris's crew sailed all the way to Antarctica looking for the rumored Summer's Gate, which is supposedly an opening in the ice wall that only appears when it gets hot enough for the ice to melt and a boat to go through. Once they got over there, they actually did find a crack in the ice wall big enough for a boat to sail through, but they were too scared to go in. But it didn't even matter at that point because they were already too close and it sucked them through. Once they emerged the other side, they came across a vast new ocean as well as a red boat. That's all they described it as, just that it was red and that they had never seen anything like it before. The boat then blew a siren that was so loud and was hurting everyone on the crew. But I guess once they found out that William Morris and his crew were not a threat, that they let them onto their boat and they spoke to them and basically told them that William Morris and his crew escaped enslavement from the actual bad people in the world, and that these lands that were outside of the ice wall are actually the peaceful place, and that where we live is the place that there are evil leaders running everything. The captain in the red boat said that he was from the Ancestral Republic and that they have been trying to liberate the people from the Middle Earth area in the inner ice wall continents for hundreds of years, but they have not been able to because they keep causing great resets where the entire population is basically wiped out and the rest of the people are made in baby making factories and they're grown in a lab and stuff, like the Cabbage Patch Kids stuff. So after William...
Are you kidding me? That's everything we literally been covering.
You guys, I figured it out. History is his story. History is starting to prove that Caucasians started their existence after the 1500s, right? But before then, everything in this continent was considered black. And up until that point, between the late 1400s, early 1500s, no one in this landmass has ever seen a Caucasian or a white person.
Before these beings came to our planet, we were the Atlanteans, right? This realm we're on specifically is called Atlantis. Now you have 9 other realms.
Maybe they're looking to protect their idols.
Why? They're not supposed to have any.
And so Lord of the Rings talks about the age of exploration where these men on the Middle Earth outside are invading God's people. I believe these people that's organic to this realm are the Atlanteans, because after the flood, God saved his people. And all of these people are organic and they thrive off the sun.
Holy forking shirt. You guys.
Caucasians are the only race that the sun impacts them negatively, making it be known that they aren't natural to this ring inside of our world. Because everything that came organic here is shown that they have capabilities to coexist with the sun. And so when you think about it, this age of exploration, when Caucasians started popping up in our world, they came through ships through here. They had this higher level technology because they're on the outer realms. And the Lord of the Rings explains this. And so now you're looking at these outsiders that came into the realm of God's people. This is why God said to separate from them. This is why God said to not procreate with them. It's because they were created and cloned outside of God's commandment, outside of God's covenant. So this is probably why the Europeans still have a hold on the world today through the Vatican, is because those Caucasians on the outer walls probably stopped there first and probably tricked those black Europeans in that area to go against their own people for their technology and power. And Satan found a way to get in because the genetics of Caucasians is not of God. And the Lord of the Rings shines a light on this because these stories are from Freemasonry origins.
William Morris was trying to go past the Antarctic walls, and he assembled a team. He found a passage called Summer's Passage. He went through this passage, met with a giant red ship. Turns out the giant red ship was from another landmass beyond the ice wall called the ancestral land. So the giant red ship took William Morris's crew to the ancestral lands. They went there. They got into some type of conflict. These giants came that helped them out. Yeah, it's a crazy story. These giants came, helped them out during this conflict. I really didn't understand who they had conflict with, but nevertheless, they had these giant orbs hovering above them while they were fighting. It turns out that they were trying to get the aid of giants. It was called the Anakim Giants. The inner ice wall is very dangerous, is what they were telling the people that came from the inner ice wall. They said they're shocked they even made it past because those people are extremely powerful, and they ended up getting in this ship while they were dealing with conflict that was flying so fast. The normal humans that came from the inner ice wall couldn't handle it because their bodies weren't used to that type of travel. And then they explained to them that, we live to about 300 years old, and that we really don't take on responsibilities till we're around 200. So that roughly is where we ended up. All types of magical cities beyond the ice wall. They look like they were, just like from the future, from the Jetsons, and they just say that they're able to get this far as humans because they're not getting reset, just like how people in the inner wall were getting reset.
Farts. So beyond the ice wall, you don't have the satellite to affect the electricity. You don't have the frequency barrier that's affecting what we believe to be is time. You know what I'm saying? You don't have all this oxygen that's in the air over here that's poisoning the water. In certain parts over the ice wall, the water hasn't been poisoned. An ice wall was set in place to separate us from some of our family in doing this war. So this is why you have an ice wall. And these people know that this ice wall is, if we were to go to this ice wall, and when they invaded our planet, they only specifically focus on this realm of Atlantis because Atlantis is in the middle. Operation High Jump is when the U.S. they put together a team of military, Navy, Air Force, Army, Marines, all in on it, and they went to Antarctica to try to discover what it was the Apple bird seen. The people that run this planet, even the people in the military, don't have access to what's really going on. So they keep the truth hidden from them too. When these beings invaded our planet and took over our planet, they have everything set up by a chain of command, right? And it's a pyramid. So the people that sit at the top of the pyramid, this is who the people that we call the elites. These are the people that's running the planet, the original 12 bloodlines, right? Right, and below them, you have banking families and secret societies, and then prime ministers and government and then military and then law enforcement on down till you get to us, populace. So what they do is the people at the very top of this pyramid, they don't tell the people below them what's going on. They tell them just enough, but they don't reveal everything. The only people that know that's really going on, what's going on, is the people that sit at the top. Now, however big they're telling you Antarctica is, it's 9 times bigger than that. You gotta think, it's an ice wall that encircles the whole realm. So it's the same thing. If you don't know where your placement is on the map, you're completely lost. So a lot of us think that the water separates the land, right? They got us believing that you got to hop in planes and fly overseas to get to Africa. That's not true. You don't have to fly over the water to get nowhere. They make Adolf Hitler like the bad guy. I got a huge lecture I'm going to do on him.
Humans are terrible. Limp Bizkit, slavery, the prosecution rests.
Gotta say, that's a solid rebuttal.
You have entire underground cities that's under the ice in Antarctica. These people have entire cities under the ice in Antarctica. They meet up and have meetings literally every 6 months under the ice in Antarctica. So they are well aware of what's going on in Antarctica. But nevertheless, they have to play to the public fancy. Because they're lying to you guys. They're lying to the public and shit, to the masses. So that's why they sent Admiral Byrd to go on the expedition. And when he went on the expedition, like I told y'all in Operation High Jump lecture, that expedition was ended. And then they won't tell you what happened. They just said, out the blue, you know, all the military just packed up and left Antarctica. No, they got ran out of Antarctica purposely by their own government, by the same people that sent them. Because had the expedition kept exploring, they would have found the truth about what Admiral Byrd seen.
I bet it blew your mind now, huh? It was a reset. But how did the reset happen? Drop in the comments below.
The map they showed us and they showed the American public is not the way this realm, this planet looks at all. Even the globe they showed us, that's not how the planet looks at all. It's kind of similar to that, but that's not how it looks at all. If we were to go to this ice wall, right, we'll be able to, because you have cracks in the ice wall, when you can literally ride through the ice wall, and then you'll be on the other side of the ice wall. And if you're going to come, and when you go through that crack in the ice, which probably is going to be about 100 feet tall, 100 feet wide, almost like a tunnel, you're going to see more water. And then if you keep going through that water, you're going to come into more land, right? And on that land is who? Us. More of us. More of us. More of us.
The question is, why is nobody asking what they're planning to do? Planning to do. Planning to do. Planning to do. Planning to do.
The Eclipse cannon is about to turn this planet into a flaming pile of rubble, wiping out everything.
What?
Including us.
What?
We can rule humanity. Humanity is a failed experiment. What?